Hey everyone, Coach Patrick here from Endurance Nation, back with another Coach podcast, video cast. You can find me on the podcast channel over on Apple Podcasts. You can also find me on YouTube at youtube.com/Endurance Nation. Excited to talk to you today about the OutSeason. It is our push for wave one of the OutSeason, which starts on October 30th this year for heading into the 23-24 season. And we say 23-24 season inside the team simply because we're all about winter return on investment. And we start early inside Endurance Nation. We're not the kind of people who wait around. If you're the kind of person who waits around and says January maybe, but it really turns out to be March and your Strava doesn't lie, then Endurance Nation is not the right place for you. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about some of the core components of the OutSeason inside Endurance Nation and why you probably want to consider applying to the team. Link here below the video, endurancenation.us/join for those of you who are just listening. So there's three things that really define the Endurance Nation OutSeason I want to talk about today. Okay, I'm going to talk about fast before far. I'm going to talk about time management and why we don't do things like swimming. And then I'm also going to talk about recovery. All right, so you ready? Let's do this. Fast before far. What on earth am I talking about? So let's talk a little bit about the general sense of what a season looks like and the problem that you and probably most people like you have. And that is that your season is built over a long period of time, 7, 8, 9 months. I know because I do season plans for every single athlete who joins the team. And since 2007, I've done over 10,000 season plans. And those season plans are predicated on the fact that you'll be building incrementally over time, like a big pyramid, all the way up to the top, adding fitness month after month and getting you to a place where you'll be peak fitness by October or peak fitness by July. The problem with that approach is that, well, there's this thing called life, right? Those of you who live in the normal world probably recognize this and understand that a lot of things go wrong between today, whenever you're listening to this podcast, and the future when your race is. There's injury, there's illness, there's work commitments, there's family commitments, there's just things that pop up, right? You pull your calf, which doesn't sound so bad, but it ends up being 3 weeks till you can see your physical therapist or your doctor, to get a script for your physical therapist, which you can't see for another 3 weeks. You're 6 months into no running, 6 weeks, and then you've got to go ahead and do the math on that. And all of a sudden you've lost 3 months of running in the middle of your season. What do you do, right? So to preempt some of the long-term problem effects that exist with a season plan that is predicated on 9 months of building, we go fast before far. And we take advantage of the winter months when it's dark and it's not fun to be training outside. It's hard to go for a long distance. Yes, doing 4 hours of aerobic work in December sounds great if you live south of the equator. Doesn't sound great if you live with me when we're shoveling or it's freezing and it's sleeting and it's slippery and it's dark. So instead, we do fast before far, where we use intensity as a lever to make sure that you're getting stronger each week and keeping you in the box in terms of overall total workload, allowing you to experience growth each week as you move through each of the 3 different phases that make up our 14-week OutSeason program, which, by the way, is designed for runners and for triathletes and for cyclists. We have all those programs. And as you go through the course of this progression, our goal is to have you exit the OutSeason in 14 weeks. That's right, 3.5 months, with essentially numbers that hit your peak numbers from last year, right? So I'm not talking about total training load. I'm not talking about complete stress, but I'm saying whatever your threshold power was, whatever your half marathon pace was, whatever that marker is for you, you'll be pretty darn close to it by the end of those 14 weeks, which gives us the remainder of the year, the other 6 months-ish, 5.5 months-ish of your year, to get stronger, to add volume when the weather gets nicer, to go out there and build it up. So a little different inside Endurance Nation, and one of the number one reasons that the OutSeason is so successful for busy athletes just like you. The second component I wanted to talk to you a little bit about was training return on investment. So I just mentioned scheduling, and one of the main reasons why we use intensity, aside from the fact that it's effective and more fun to do in the winter, is that it allows us to really dial in your time. Right? So I can have you do 1 hour of cycling 3 times a week or 4 times a week, depending on the program you're on, if you're run specific or cycling specific. And I can make each of those hours cost more or less depending on the intensity dial. There's a certain amount of intensity that comes with just riding for an hour, but then we can toggle the intensity around to get the results that we want. And that's super effective because as we go through the process of trying to make sure that you're super successful across the course of a year, it all comes down to intensity management and making sure that you're making decisions that are really specific to your ability and seeing those results session after session, right? So we want repeatability of session quality, and we start to master that exercise inside the winter period because you start building what we call your mental six-pack. You get really strong, you get really tough at understanding that these are the intervals I need to do. I need to walk into this room knowing that I'm going to be doing some hard intervals. In an hour, I'm going to be done. I'm going to be successful. I can dust everything off. I can go back tomorrow and repeat again and get stronger on such a bite-sized program. It's pretty much unbelievable for most athletes who haven't done it before. Those of you who've been on the team, I'm doing this, some of you since 2007, 17 years, have a sense of what it is and the high value aspect that exists inside there, not just from the training side, but also from the community side. We structure the week accordingly so that you actually can do this quality work. In fact, each week is broken up into sort of 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of work, and then Saturday, Sunday of work as well. This gives you plenty of time to balance your work period and your recovery period. It also allows you to really focus on moving workouts around if you need to and prioritizing excellence inside of your space. So regardless of the discipline you're on, the week structure and the workout interval structure is designed such that you can really be focused and really be effective. Whether you like to get up in the morning or you need to do it midday, you work at home, or it's something you got to do after work, but before you do stuff with the family or with your loved ones at dinner time, then awesome, you can do it because it's really bite-sized workouts that are super effective. Okay, they're also available. You can get them for Train Road, you can get them for Zwift. If you're doing the cycling stuff, for the running, you got the easy programs. Very simple to follow. Great works, right? So, okay, last piece I mentioned, which is recovery. Kind of sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? I'm just talking about work. I'm just talking about intensity. Why am I also talking about recovery? Well, therein lies the unique balance. People often look at intensity and say, oh, you can't do hard work in the wintertime, or you can't do hard work now, whatever now is for you in your season, because it's going to be too costly and it's going to ruin your progression overall. What people are assuming is that all of your workouts will be hard work. And what they're assuming also is that you're not recovering from that hard work. There's a reality that we have. Sure, I bet there's a book, a report, a study somewhere that says 6 hours of baseline aerobic activity a day makes you a phenomenal athlete. That's great. Fortunately, I don't get paid for 6 hours of baseline aerobic endurance a day. I've got a job. And also, I'm not quite sure that my body would hold up to that type of work as well. Enter the intensity equation where we can do quality work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Saturday, Sunday as well. And then we have our Mondays and Fridays off. So by the way, inside the out season, you've got 2 days of off time. That means time to sleep in, time to do restorative activities, your choice. You get flexibility in there in terms of what you want to do. But that amount of rest is actually phenomenally higher than what you've had inside your season in terms of rest days, particularly inside Endurance Nation, where we're very focused in those last 12 weeks to your race. But it also complements the structure of the out season, which has 24 hours between workouts. So your workout on Tuesday is hard, and so is your Wednesday session, but you've got 24 hours of rest. Contrast that with your in-season training when you're doing longer work and sometimes 2-a-days, when you have sometimes only just 8 hours between sessions or 12 hours between big sessions. At that point in time, you're ready to handle that load. In the wintertime, you're not. And we allow for that level of recovery, which keeps your overall stress levels low, allows you to do a lot of high-intensity work, but still see progression and recover accordingly. And ultimately, something that we discovered long after starting the out season, but actually explained why we were seeing the results we were with our athletes, was that people were actually able to be really successful across the course of the year because of the diversity of training. If we do aerobic training now, but you're an endurance athlete and your goal is to do a marathon or to do a half Ironman or to do, a stage race on your mountain bike, your specific training in season is going to be a lot of aerobic work because your event is aerobic. So if we're doing aerobic in the winter and we're doing predominantly aerobic with maybe some zone 3 or specific things on hills or whatever it is in the summer, the diversity of training is actually not that high in terms of the specificity for your race and the stuff that you're doing when you're not training for your race. And so this intensity mechanism actually brings in an opportunity for you to get strong. We work in rest and recovery across the season. That's the beauty of the Endurance Nation program, because we do map out your entire year. We take the out season into account. The out season is so important that I'll tell you right now that I don't count the number of years that someone's been a part of the team, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, whatever it may be. I instead count the number of out seasons they've completed. 3 out seasons is the baseline to reach your total potential. And athletes who've been with us for 5, 6, 7, or even 8 years understand that the compound value of the out season extends well beyond just what we do in the winter, but it goes into the course of the year. It gives variety to your training, and it sets you up to be successful when it matters most, which is on race day, when you have to be really strong mentally, super fit overall, and ready to do the work following the plan and understanding how to execute. All of those elements we cover inside the team, not just with our training programs, but also with our curriculum and the support exercises and things that we have inside the team. You'll learn more about those in future podcasts. But for now, I hope this was helpful to you. Again, link at the bottom, endurancenation.us/join, or you can also find us online, social media, etc. If you want to go to our website, endurancenation.us, you'll see there's a download link for you to get our OutSeason book, which is a free PDF that details the OutSeason, just so you have a bigger sense of what we do and see if it's right for you. If it is, and I sure hope it is, remember October 30th for 2023, midnight is the deadline to join. We're looking forward to having you join us as part of our new cohort. The winter's the best time to be a part of the team because we all go through the OutSeason together. Talk to you soon. Take care, everyone.